What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for April 15th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Monday edition of the podcast. It's going to be a beautiful day. My allergies are already kicking up, though, from mowing yesterday, but nothing like the first mow of the year. It's how I'll spend my Sunday afternoons now for the next 4 or 5 months, maybe even 6, depending if it was anything like last year. But let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. Like we always do, I asked you, who is the Phillies' greatest home run hitter in their history? Home run hitter, not player. No surprises here. 69% of you said it was Mike Schmidt. Hard to argue that. I probably would have gone Ryan Howard, but again, cannot argue with Schmitty. 69% of you agree with that. So as always, thank you for participating in the question of the day. There will be another question later in the show. Be sure to follow me on social media, TikTok, Twitter, Jimbo_Mont, Instagram at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Tell a friend. Let's spread the word here. Let's grow this thing. I have some good things lined up for the summer, so stay tuned for that. Best way to stay in the loop is to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Quick housekeeping note. I mentioned I'll be away this weekend, so I will be coming at you with a different background, and probably the timing will be a little bit off. If you're used to getting this through my social media, the next few weeks are going to be kind of funky with that, between being away this weekend and then for work, I'll be out for state testing. So I don't know if I'll have the time I do in the morning to cut up the clips. Might not be till later in the afternoon once I get done, if anything. But there will be a podcast posted every day before I leave on the YouTube channel. I will try my best to share it as on the social media, but again, I don't know if I'll have time, so it might not be till the afternoon. But again, it will be there. Best way to know is subscribe wherever you're following this, and make sure it gets to your inbox. All right, Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction class is set. All the information you need is in the description. Be sure to check that out. Tickets are on sale. There's a few different packages that are for sale, so check that out. It's probably going to sell out fast just because of the class. I mean, the top 3 guys, Utley, Howard, and Jameer Nelson, and then Angelo Cataldi, Paul West. Go through the list, and it's a very, very strong class. So if you're interested in going, I would say buy your tickets early. If you're interested in being a sponsor, or if you have a restaurant or some type of other service business that you would like to possibly donate something for the auction, hit me up as well to make and I'll give you the details and get you to the right people for that. Again, planning on a lot of folks being there to see some of this, being there to see the ceremony, to see some of the things you have. It'd be a great opportunity. But again, hit me up offline for that. But everything you need is in the description as far as tickets as well as the induction class. All right, Sixers news. And they won 107-86. Unfortunately, so did the Magic and the Pacers. Doc once again let the Sixers down. So that means they'll take on the Heat at the Wells Fargo Center Wednesday at 7. We'll have more on this game as the week goes on, but it's one and done. If they win, they'll be the 7th seed. They'll take on the Knicks, which I don't hate the matchup per se. I know the Knicks kind of had their way with the Sixers this year, just if I'm thinking off the top of my head. But again, let's focus on the Heat first. We'll preview more of that as the week goes on. Obviously, if they lose, they'll play the winner of the Atlanta-Chicago game for the 8th seed and the right to play the Celtics. But to avoid all that, let's just win and get the 7th seed, take on the Knicks, and then we'll kind of go from there. But, I mean, looking at the bracket, taking on the Knicks in the first round obviously is going to be tough. They're the 2 seed, but they do avoid Boston until the Eastern Conference Finals, so they do kind of get that part of the draw. But again, thanks, Doc, for all your help. All right, Flyers are off today, but there is a few games that will determine their playoff fate going into the final game. The Capitals are in Boston. The Penguins are at home versus the Predators. And the Red Wings are at home versus the Canadiens. So we'll see how that works out once all of that kind of shakes it out. There's a ton of scenarios for the Flyers. It'll be slightly clearer tomorrow. There's a lot of power play or overtime and shootout. Like it's very, very complicated. But the bottom line is they need to win. Preferably in regulation due to the tie-breaking scenarios and everything. But they will not be eliminated tonight. It will go into tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow's game. But we'll see. It's very, very convoluted. But they're still alive. That's all. As one of the greatest movie lines ever, you're telling me there's a chance. Yes, there is a chance for the Flyers. And we'll know exactly how big later this evening. Union battled to a 2-2 draw with Atlanta United yesterday. They got some points in the standings, and at this point, they're on a nice little unbeaten streak. They had a couple draws in there, but they've been winning ever since that blowout in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. They are off until Saturday now. Phillies just... Zach Wheeler, it was like I don't know what to make of Zach Wheeler yesterday. He had 10 strikeouts but gave up 4 earned runs. But again, you cannot win when your offense is only scoring 2 runs. And this offense is just not off to a good start. Good to see Orion Corcoran on the mound yesterday. Somehow, though, the Phillies are only 2 games back in the standings. Now, this is where this week they have 3 versus the Rockies, 3 versus the White Sox. They need to win at least 4 of these 6 games, if not 5. And there's no reason why they shouldn't. Hopefully this is a get-right spot for them this week. But, man, just disappointing yesterday. They were winning 2-1. I went to do my trimming. I come back, and it was 6-2. I have no idea. Like, they just imploded. Like, I was shocked. But they're back in action tonight versus the Rockies. And hopefully, like I said, the Rockies and White Sox is just what the doctor ordered. Speaking of ordering, I ordered my Philly Connect shirt from phillygoat.com yesterday, or this weekend. They've done it right. They have a whole line of Philly Connect gear. Hats, jackets, jerseys, t-shirts. You can get hoodies. They even have sweatpants. Just go check them out. They did it right, and I wish somebody from Nike or Major League Baseball would have consulted Ryan and the Philly Goat team because, again, they did it right. Go to phillygoat.com. Check out their Philly Connect line of gear. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery at checkout for 10% off of your order. Like I said, these things they're amazing. Hopefully, it'll come before I go away this weekend. I'm probably not, though. But that's okay. It's definitely well worth the wait, especially since these jerseys are not going anywhere this year, likely even into the future. So, yeah, go to Philly Goat. Check out their take on the Philly Connect. It's better than the Nike ones. So go there. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery. All right, today we're going to go back to 1965, and on this day in 1965, it was Game 7 of the East Division Finals between the Sixers and the Celtics. The Sixers were down. The series was tied 3-3, but the Sixers were down 110-109 with 5 seconds left. They were inbounding the ball from underneath their own basket. Hal Greer was looking to get it to Wilt, who they traded for mid-year. But the ball was stolen by John Havlicek, who passed it to Sam Jones, who ran out the clock, sending the Boston Celtics to the NBA Finals. Why are we mentioning this? Because Celtics broadcaster Johnny Most made one of the most iconic broadcasting calls in NBA history, even all of sports history. And I'm probably not going to do it justice. You can Google it, but it's the Havlicek steals it over to Sam Jones. Havlicek stole the ball. It's all over. It's all over. Go check it out. It's one of the ones you see all the time on NBA games and when you're watching things on about the NBA, but one of the most iconic broadcasting calls ever made happened on this day, 1965, in Game 7 of the East Division Finals between the Sixers and the Celtics, when John Havlicek stole the ball. The Celtics did go on to win their 7th straight championship that year. They'd win their 8th the following year before the Sixers finally came out and knocked them out and won in 1966 and 67. But on this day, it was the Celtics coming out on top with Johnny Most making one of the most famous calls in all of sports history when Havlicek stole the ball. All right, but that leads to today's question of the day. What is the most iconic broadcasting call in all of sports history? Is it Havlicek stole the ball? Is it when the Giants, Rob Thompson hit the home run and the Giants win the pennant? The Giants win the pennant. Was it Down Goes Frazier? Down Goes Frazier. Or Al Michaels, Do You Believe in Miracles? So many good ones to choose from. For me, I think it would have to be probably Down Goes Frazier because it was so ingrained in my head growing up with my dad being such a big Ali fan. It was good to see, in his words, the champ go down. But let me know what you think. Is there one on here that I missed? 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let me know. What is the most iconic... Excuse me. Allergies are killing me. What is the most iconic broadcast call in sports history? Is it the Giants win the pennant? The Giants win the pennant. Havlicek stole the ball. Down goes Frazier. And I know the voice is the same for all of these. I don't know why. And do you believe in miracles? Let me know. 267-495-8531. Get you through on the Back to the Future voice and text line. All right. Today's top 20 memory from the 20th anniversary of Citizens Bank Park is the 2009 NLCS Game 4, taking it back to October 19th, 2009. The Phillies led 2-1. They had just come off of blowing out the Dodgers 11-0 the night before, and then they got started early that next night. They got up in the first inning, a 2-run homer by Ryan Howard, who tied Lou Gehrig's record for consecutive postseason games with an RBI at 8, a record that he still shares with Lou Gehrig to this day. 8 straight postseason games with an RBI. The teams battled back and forth. Dodgers led 4-3 heading into the bottom of the 9th, and it looked to be all but over as Jonathan Broxton came in for 1 out in the 8th and was coming back out for a 4-out save, and he was just lights out and phenomenal that year. Wasn't looking good. We were planning on... I was in attendance in this game. Wasn't feeling well, but we were like, all right, we at least got to stay, but it looks like we'll be back for Game 5. Raul Banez got out. Matt Stairs walked. Chooch was hit by a pitch. Dobbs lined out. So J-Roll stepped up to the plate with 2 outs, 2 on. He hit a 1-1 pitch into the right center field gap, scoring both runs. Pinch runner Eric Bruntlett and Chooch for the 5-4 walk-off win. One of the greatest games in Phillies history. One of my top sports memories. Maybe one of the best games I've ever been to live, just because that place was electric. They would go on to win Game 5, and we talked earlier in the week late last week about what happened in the World Series in 2009. But man, this game was just phenomenal. J-Roll stepping up to the plate, hitting the 1-1 pitch off of Broxton, and it wasn't supposed to happen. He was just so good that season. We were just fully expecting it, but talk about a clutch hit. I've talked a lot on this podcast about J-Roll and where he stands among the all-time greats and whether he should be a Hall of Famer. But this, just a clutch, ice water in his veins for this. But just one of the greatest just clutch hits in Philly sports history. And to me, one of hands down top 5 games I've ever been to. Just because, I'll never forget it because I wasn't feeling well at all. Almost didn't go to the game. This is back when we had the Sunday plan, and this was one of the playoff games we ended up getting, and what a good one to be at. And it just feels they should have won that World Series that year. It's just, But that's a whole different thing. Today we're celebrating Citizens Bank Park and Jimmy Rollins' ninth inning, 2-out double to win Game 4 of the 2009 NLCS against the Dodgers. And Jonathan Broxton, one of the best closers. I think he was the best closer in baseball that year too. So just phenomenal. But that is today's top 20 memory for the 20th anniversary of Citizens Bank Park. And then finally today, our Philly sports team with unfinished business, the 1993 Phillies. And to me, this team is 100% the textbook definition of how expectations change during the season. Because coming into that season, they were coming off a 70-92 season in 1992. And truthfully, nobody outside of the Phillies probably themselves, and even then, if you really put them up to a lie detector, probably didn't believe they could compete. But everything came together. So many guys had career years. We know about the offense. Like Dalton was good. Kruk, they had good, solid offensive players, but the pitching staff was shaky, and they all came together. They ended up having the best pitching staff in the Major League Baseball that year. The season started off with a sweep of the Astros. They finished April 17-5 and just kind of rode that momentum throughout the season. They were in first place all year except for April 9th when they were a half game back of the Pirates. So basically almost wire to wire they went. At one point, they had an 11.5 game lead. They ultimately finished, I think they won it by 3 games. They went 97-65. They beat the Braves 4-2 in the NLCS. And then the World Series, this was actually a very good World Series. They split the first 2 games in Toronto, lost the first in Philly, and then this, to me, is one of the bigger what ifs. Like, everybody talks about different things, but nobody really talks so much about this. The Phillies in Game 4 had a 14-9 lead, and it was rainy, and it just was a mess. But they ended up blowing it. Mitch Williams ended up getting death threats. It just was a mess. But this game was the crucial one that they should have. Like, if they didn't lose this game and then Schilling comes out and pitches the way they do in Game 5, he did in Game 5, the Phillies are going back to Toronto with a 3-2 lead. So that Game 4, blowing a 5-run lead in the 8th inning. Like, that's just, man. But it just was not meant to be. We all know what happened in Game 6 up in Toronto. And again, I mean, they actually had a lead in Game 6. They were up 6-5 after 7 innings. They battled back. And it's easy to say, well, why did you put Mitch Williams in? Why did Fregosi put Mitch Williams? Why did he pull Roger Mason? And, I mean, ultimately, it's similar to the discussion last year with Rob Thompson and Craig Kimbrell. I mean, you kind of go with what got you there, but at the same time, you got to see that these guys are running out of gas, and maybe it's not the right move. But just like I said, that 93 team, the expectations changed, so it's okay to be disappointed that they did not win because they certainly had a shot to. And then between the strike and then injuries, the 94-95 seasons, just they kind of played more in line with what they were. But, man, that 93 team was just spectacular. A lot of unfinished business. To me, they left some meat on that bone. And that Game 4 of the World Series, I think, was the one that still haunts me to this day. But today's Philly sports team with unfinished business that left some meat on the bone was the 93 Phillies. One of my all-time favorite teams, but disappointment, man, because it was there to be won. And we know it would be a long time before they would get back there. Our top 20 memory for the 20th anniversary of Citizens Bank Park, Game 4 of the 2009 NLCS, when J-Roll hit the 2-out double to score 2, winning the game, the walk-off, and then they would go on to win Game 5, go to the World Series, and lose to the Yankees. On this day in 1965, the Sixers lost the East Division Final to the Celtics 110-109 when Havlicek stole the ball. Which leads us to our question of the day. What is the greatest sports broadcasting call of all time? Is it Havlicek stole the ball, Giants win the pennant, Down goes Frazier. Do you believe in miracles, or is it one that I missed? Let me know. 267-495-8531 on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let me know your thoughts on that, as well as anything else that's on your mind. That's what we're here for. Remember to follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell a friend, spread the word, follow me on social media, and remember, this weekend and the next 2 weeks afterwards, if you're used to getting the links on from the social media, it might be later just due to my day job, my work schedule. But again, if you start buying t-shirts, if you start subscribing and spreading the word, I wouldn't have to have a day job. Just throwing that out there. But go enjoy this weather today. It is going to be beautiful. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Monday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you. Havlicek stole the ball!